Welcome to 21st Sports recap and reaction for the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in their Week 5 matchup played October 11th, 2015. We're going to go over every score and the stats and give our breakdown and analysis. And in the first quarter, less than 4 minutes in, Connor Barth hits a 35-yard field goal to make it 3-0 Tampa Bay over Jacksonville in the Battle of Florida. And that would be it for the first quarter. Then in the second quarter, Blake Bortles hits Allen Hurns for a 12-yard touchdown, and just less than a minute into the second quarter, and now Jacksonville was in the lead by 4 with the score 7-3 with the extra point by Myers. So now with about 10.5 minutes left in the second quarter, Connor Barth would hit his second field goal of the game, a 45-yarder, and that was a 1-point game with the score Jacksonville 7, Tampa Bay 6. Then with 7.5 minutes left before halftime, Jameis Winston hits the muscle hamster, Doug Martin, and he muscles it in for a 10-yard touchdown. The extra point by Connor Barth made it a 6-point lead for the Bucs with the score Tampa Bay 13, Jacksonville 7. Then with 2.5 left before halftime, Doug Martin, the muscle hamster, punches it in from a yard out. And with the extra point by Barth, it was 20-7 Tampa Bay over Jacksonville. But with just over 30 seconds left before halftime, Blake Bortles throws his second touchdown of the game. This one a 13-yarder to Allen Robinson. And it was a 6-point game after the extra point by Myers made it 20-14. Bucs still in the lead by 6 over the Jags. So that was the score at halftime. Then in the third quarter, 10 minutes left in the third, Myers hit a 31-yard field goal to make it a 3-point game with the score Tampa Bay 20, Jacksonville 17. Then with less than 3 minutes left in the third, Blake Bortles throws his third touchdown of the game. This one a 4-yard pass to T.J. Yeldon, and now the Jags were in the lead by 4 with the extra point by Myers with the score Jacksonville 24, Tampa Bay 20. Then with less than half a minute left still in the third, Connor Barth hits a 47-yard field goal, and that was a 1-point game with the score Jacksonville 24, Tampa Bay 23. But then just 14 seconds later, with 15 seconds left in the third, Jacquez Smith jumps on a fumble and gets it 3 yards into the end zone. He jumped on it and then he jumped in the end zone from the ground as no one is there to touch him, and it's a defensive touchdown, and the Bucs go for 2, and Jameis Winston hits Vincent Jackson for the 2-point conversion, and it was now a 7-point lead for Tampa Bay with the score Buccaneers 31, Jaguars 24. So that was the score after 3 quarters of play. And in the fourth quarter, with about 8.5 left to play in the fourth, Doug Martin scores his third touchdown of the game. This one a 1-yard run. Barth adds the extra point, and it was 38-24 Bucs over the Jags. But then with just over a minute left to play, Blake Bortles goes to Allen Robinson for the second time this game. This one a 5-yard touchdown, and it was now a 7-point game with the extra point by Myers with the score 38-31 Bucs over the Jags. The Bucs would recover the onside kick attempt. Winston took 2 knees, and this game came to a close. The final score 38-31 as Tampa Bay wins their second game of the year. They're now 2-3, 1-2 at home. They end their 11-game losing streak at home, winning the Battle of Florida as Central Florida versus North Florida, Tampa Bay versus Jacksonville. And the Jags are now 1-4. They're 0-3 on the road. So in this game, Jameis Winston just 13-19, 209 yards, 1 touchdown, but no interceptions. He also carried the ball 4 times for 9 yards. But Doug Martin, 24 carries, 123 yards, 2 touchdowns rushing. He also had 3 receptions for 35 yards and 1 touchdown receiving, as he had 158 total yards and 3 total touchdowns in this game. Charles Sims, 12 carries for 51 yards. He also had 4 receptions for 85 yards to be the Bucs' leading receiver, as well as he had 136 total yards in this game. Mike Evans, 3 receptions for 41 yards. And for the Jags, Blake Bortles had a big game, 23 for 33, 303 yards, 4 touchdowns. He had the 1 pickoff, but it wouldn't be enough This was a shootout, really. It was crazy how many points they combined for 69 total points in this game. But T.J. Yeldon was leading rush for the Jags, 11 carries for 32 yards. Bortles had 1 carry for 21 yards. Allen Hurns had 5 receptions for 116 yards and a touchdown. Allen Robinson, 7 receptions for 72 yards and a touchdown. Walters, 4 receptions for 64 yards. Yeldon also had 5 receptions for 31 yards and a touchdown to give him 63 total yards in the game. And for the kickers, Connor Barth was perfect, 3 for 3 on the field goals, 3 for 3 on the extra points. Myers is perfect as well, 1 for 1 on the field goals, 4 for 4 on the extra points. So I think the Bucks scored on 6 different occasions, 5 different drives. Of course, the one score came on that fumble recovery, the defensive touchdown. And speaking of defense, Levante David had 8 tackles. He also had a sack. Werner had a half a sack. Alexander had a sack. Johnson forced a fumble. Jones had 2 sacks in this game. McDougal had an interception. McCoy had 1.5 sacks, all for the Bucks. Smith was the leading tackler for Jacksonville with 13 tackles. Colvin had a sack, and so did Miller. We look at the team stats. Jacksonville had 21 first downs, 20 first downs for Tampa Bay. On third downs, 5 for 11 for the Bucks, 45% converted. 5 of them were converted. The 2 for 8 for Jacksonville as they struggled on third down, just converting 25%. They went for it once on fourth down. They did convert. Total net yards 369 for the Bucks, 325 for the Jags. On the ground, 183 for Tampa Bay, 55 for Jacksonville. Through the air, net passing 270 for the Jags. Bortles was sacked 6 times for a net loss of 33 yards. And net passing for Tampa Bay, 186, as Winston was sacked twice for a loss of 23 total yards. And the penalties, 10 penalties against Tampa Bay, 72 penalty yards. Just 3 penalties for Jacksonville, 12 penalty yards. Usually that would end up leading to a team losing, but still Tampa Bay, they just kept scoring. Of course, a lot of that due to Connor Barth. They made the switch. They got rid of Brinta. They bring in Connor Barth, and Connor Barth comes up huge in this game with those 4 field goals. In the red zone, 4 for 5 for Jacksonville, 80% converted in the red zone. 3 for 5 for Tampa Bay, just 60%. The Bucks win the battle of possession, 34 minutes and 41 seconds to 25 minutes and 19 seconds for the Jags. So a high-scoring game as both these teams kept putting up points. But Jacksonville, they just got behind there, especially early on. But then in the third quarter, and both teams kept scoring. But once the Bucs got in the lead, and the way that Doug Martin was running the ball was keeping their defense fresh down the stretch, even though they did let up that touchdown in the final minute. But they were able to hold on to win this one at home, coming up with a big win for the home crowd. It's the first time in a long time, as they had lost 11 straight at home. And then they win this one finally for the fans in Tampa, as that goes back actually to 2013 was the last time they won in Tampa Bay. So the Bucks get a win at home over the Jags in a crazy game with tons of points. Just a big performance by Doug Martin. And just lots of offense. Blake Bortles put up some big numbers as well. And not a lot of defense in this game. Of course, the Bucs defense made some plays when they needed to, especially coming up with that defensive touchdown. It was a big play there in the closing moments of the third quarter. And then they ended up, shutting down the Jags there for a nice stretch until they let up that late touchdown. But at that point, they pretty much had the game pretty well secured, although Jacksonville did have a chance, but all they needed was to recover the onside kick and take the 2 knees, and the Bucs hold on to win this one. But let me know what you think in the comments section below. Definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions. Thank you very much for listening. It's greatly appreciated. I hope you had a good day and a great weekend and enjoyed all the sports.